Decentralized podcast. This is Cort Winsett. We are recording today without Katie Pickler. So, Cameron, you're going to have to step up your game because
this is boys' night out.
This is boys' night out, and the topic that we're tackling today, I really have very little understanding of. I'm just going to admit it. I'll throw it out there.
Yeah, so today we're talking about cryptocurrency. And preparing for this episode, I invested a minimal amount into cryptocurrency just to kind of see what it's all about, kind of know what I'm talking about. And I have no idea what I'm talking about. But it was kind of fun. Kind of fun, like checking the app every day. Okay, where are the levels? You know, what's dropping, what's going up.
Everything that I preach about the market and about investing and stuff is I guess I should say right now, we are not at any time during this podcast recommending that you invest your money in any sort of cryptocurrency. This is not a recommendation. We are not recommending any particular products. We're intrigued by it because the topic continues to remain a very, very hot topic on all of the medias. But I'm interested in it, but I just don't understand it. So I feel like, we're gonna have to get somebody in here to talk about it with us that actually knows more about it.
Talking about.
But back to my point, the thing about watching the up and down and stuff, I'm very much, when I'm talking to people about their investments, I'm very much a sort of a buy it, leave it. I think in Bitcoin, if you buy it and leave it, there's a term for that. It's hold on for dear life.
Yeah.
Hodl.
That's right. Which was misspelled by somebody, and they instead of hodl, and they kept it.
They kept it, but the cryptocurrencies are still sort of, I don't know. I don't want to say that I'm against them, but it's very much against my overall investment philosophy because I'm about investing for the long term, and this stuff, it is crazy.
Yeah, I'm glad we're finally covering this because it is such a hot topic, like you said. Yeah. You read about it in the news all the time. Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. Elon Musk is always tweeting about it. I also want to say that last year David Pickler did a presentation, a 2-hour presentation on this called Tales from the Crypto.
Our podcast will not be 2 hours today.
No, it will not. So if you want a really detailed lesson on all things cryptocurrency, you can go to picklerwealthadvisors.com and check that video out.
Yes, check it out.
So before we get to our guest, we have a list.
We do. We always have a list. We don't want to just throw everything out the window just because Katie's not here today. So our list is, we did a little research. As Cameron said, he did more than I did to prepare for this episode. And one of the things that you find when you start looking into cryptocurrency is the fact that there are a whole lot of cryptocurrencies out there, a ton, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And a lot of them have some really hilarious names.
They are bananas. So this is our list of our favorite cryptocurrencies based solely on their wacky name.
Yes, and again, we can't disclaim this enough. We are not recommending these as an investment. We are just simply, the names tickle us. They tickle our fancy.
You want to start first? What's your top?
I'll go first. My first one is actually, I don't know why I picked this one. I can't, but it's Ardor.
Ardor.
Yeah.
Sounds like a name from Middle Earth.
It's when you feel ardor for someone, you love them, and it's strong feelings. So Ardor.
My first one is called Thor Chain. It just sounds epic. That's why I liked it.
Thor
Break the chains.
Okay, my next one is it's Origin Trail, which I just love because who doesn't remember playing Oregon Trail when they were a kid?
It'd be unfortunate if you died from dysentery while investing in Origin Trail. Oh, my next one is Shiba Inu, which is a type of dog that lives in wintry weather. We've all heard about Dogecoin, and I think Shiba is a play off of Dogecoin.
Okay. Yeah, and so my next one, I don't know why they named it this, but I'm going to tell you why I like it. It's fetch.ai, and it's because, stop trying to make fetch happen.
We always talk about Mean Girls on this show. This is guys' night.
I'm sorry, but it's at the time that I picked this list, I thought Katie would be in here, and she would have liked it.
Oh, man. All right, my next one is called Gods Unchained. So the first one was Thor Chain, and this is Gods Unchained.
So my next one is Golem, which, of course, I thought of Cameron because Lord of the Rings Gollum, but this is actually Golem. It's, a magical creature made out of clay and animated to do chores of the maker.
Like a big rock creature, right?
Yeah, sort of a... I mean, it gets described differently in all sorts of literature in which it is described. But the basic idea is generally dumb, usually made of rock or clay, and frequently used to do bad things. So I'm interested as to why they chose this for the name.
My next one is called Baby Swap. Like, do they swap babies with this coin? I don't know why they named it that, but I'm keeping it.
Don't know. And kind of along those same lines, my last one is Pancake Swap. Because I was like, obviously the people that started this one just love them some pancakes.
I would much rather swap pancakes than babies.
Believe me, I have no interest in swapping babies with anybody.
All right, and closing out the list is Galaxy Heroes. Man, these are some epic coin names. It just reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy, so I had to go with it.
Of course. So there is our list. And we will move basically directly from the list into our guest, because there's not a whole lot that Cameron and I can really offer you about this topic without someone to sort of bounce questions off of. But we will, before we go into the guest, we can read this one quote from Sally Davies, who said, "Blockchain is to crypto what the internet is to email, a big electronic system on top of which you can build applications. Currency is just one of the things you can do." So why did I read that quote to you? Well, because, as hopefully you will find during our interview of our guest, blockchain is the foundation of cryptocurrency. You don't have cryptocurrency without blockchain. So you've got to understand that as a very basic element of gaining any sort of understanding of cryptocurrency overall.
You're absolutely right, Cort. You ready for the guest?
Bring in the guest.
Let's
bring out the gimp.
All right, Andy Wilson, let's see what you got.
Okay, lovely lead-in guest music there, Cameron.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. We have with us Andy Wilson.
The Andy Wilson.
The Andy Wilson of the famed Wilsons of something.
So Andy's mother-in-law used to work here, Melissa House.
Right.
Yeah, and she was with us for a long time.
I didn't know if I was going there.
Well, I'm going there. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have known Andy for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Andy
knows a lot more than we do about what it is we're talking about today, about crypto. And so we wanted to bring him on because I really, some of our episodes we've gotten into some topics where maybe I didn't know as much about it as I should have, or Katie didn't know as much about it as she should have. But usually one of us has information, one of us has the goods, and neither of us know anything about crypto.
That's why we bring in the professionals.
Yeah, we're bringing in Andy to talk about it, and really this is going to be. We're just going to kind of open it up and let him sort of, first of all, introduce himself, because my introduction probably was a little bit lame. But after he introduces himself, we're just going to sort of let him talk about all of the crypto, and we'll throw in questions, pepper him, see if we can't get him to break. To get him to.
So Andy, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into crypto.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say I do not consider myself a crypto expert. I have been, in the field for a while, just kind of independently. I started back around, I guess it was 2013, when I first became aware of it and started, doing some speculative buying, but really didn't take off and, started investing in it, a substantial amount until around 2017, 2018. I don't know if you remember, 2017 was around the time where it kind of blew up for the first time, in the mainstream. It was in the news. People were talking about it. That's when I really, kind of got into it. But before that, it was around late 2013. And, ever since then, been buying, trading, and just watching the market, every every facet of it, which there are many.
So you've
Basically, my story.
you've been involved for a while.
Almost 10 years now. If you count 2013, which was I really don't even count that, because it was just like a couple times where I bought it just to see what it was and was just kind of experimenting with it. So I didn't really become like an investor until around 17, 18. But I tell people 13 because it sounds better. It sounds like I've been in it for a while.
I've been doing it
and
forever.
It's technically not a lie. So
Yeah. As I mentioned earlier in the show, to prepare for this episode, I invested in some crypto. I mean, a minimal amount. So minimal that if I lost it, I wouldn't shed a tear. But man, it is fascinating. Just a little bit I've done. It's like sports betting. I can't quit looking at my Coinbase app to see the performance and everything. How about we go to the beginning, kind of in a logical line? So we know
That's how I like things.
Yes, that's how we like things. So we know when you got invested and why. How about what is cryptocurrency? Like, how would you define it?
Yeah, like for instance, obviously still I think, although less and less every day it seems like, Bitcoin is still sort of king of the mountain. When I think of crypto, that's where my mind goes. But when we were doing research for this episode, there are like hundreds of cryptocurrencies out there. It blew my mind how many there were. So what is crypto and sort of why do we need so many? Why do we need so many? I don't understand.
So many of the cryptos.
Yeah. Well, one mistake people tend to make when they first get into it is thinking that every single crypto out there is competing with each other, to replace the dollar and become a mainstream currency. That's not the case at all. All of these, the reason there are so many, they all have different use cases. They're used in different apps. They're used in different projects. They can all exist, they can coexist, and, they can all do well. It's not really a competition for which one wins, and which one becomes the main one. But like you said, Bitcoin is still definitely, the king. If you just look at it by market cap, it's, probably double, the next highest market cap. And I don't think that's going to be changing for a while. But yeah, there are a ton of different ones. I mean, there's probably thousands at this point, and if you count the failed projects that got started years ago and just never made it, probably tens of thousands of those. But yeah, they all have different use cases.
So what is it? I mean, talk to me like I'm a 2-year-old. What is it on the most basic level?
Well, to understand what a cryptocurrency is, you really first have to understand what a blockchain is, blockchain technology. So blockchain is going to be a decentralized ledger.
And decentralized meaning?
Decentralized meaning that there is not one, corporate office that houses every server and controls all the data and controls how everything flows. It's all independent miners, is what we call them, a Bitcoin miner. I don't know if you've heard about...
mining.
Yeah, Bitcoin mining. Those are the people who run the network, and there are thousands. I mean, anyone could set up a mining operation. You don't need permission. One word you'll hear a lot, if you're researching crypto, is permissionless, and that's what it, that's as far as becoming a miner and operating a node on the blockchain. It's completely permissionless. You could start one right now. You wouldn't have to ask permission from anyone to do it. You just do it.
Do you need like special equipment? Do you need?
Well, you would need a computer at a minimum, a dedicated computer that would be able to run the mining software, as long as you want to have it, online. But the people who mine seriously, they'll build their own like mining rigs, which would just be a computer with a lot of specialized hardware attached to it. Mainly graphics cards, which some people find interesting. Is like gaming graphic cards that people use for like gaming computers. Those have the exact components you need to mine crypto. So people will buy these graphic cards and they'll buy 10, 15, 20 of them and build them all into one, unit that's used exclusively for mining, and they'll just turn it on and let it run. And it's sitting there processing blocks, processing transactions, getting those block rewards, in your sleep, basically. You turn it on, kind of set it and forget it, other than, basic maintenance.
What exactly are you mining? If you're mining for gold, there's a physical nugget of gold that you have. What are you mining?
Well, it depends on the token, depends on the coin we're talking about. But if we're talking Bitcoin, So there are things called block rewards. So what a miner does is a miner is who processes these transactions. So when we say decentralized, like if I'm sending you Bitcoin, it doesn't have to go to, some central office somewhere for, a centralized processing center to, validate the transaction and, make it happen. It goes to a miner, which could be anyone, anyone on the blockchain. And what these miners do is they use their computing power. They're loaning out their computing power from their hardware to facilitate these transactions. So they're going to check, the blockchain is a permanent record. They're going to check your wallet balance, what you have in there right now, how much you're trying to send. And they're going to look at the recipient, make sure it's an actual wallet that exists, and make sure it's somewhere that it can be sent. And they're going to record that transaction, deduct it from one, add it to the other, and they're going to record that to the blockchain. Multiple miners are going to do this. It's not just one. Like each one would be called a confirmation. So if you're looking at your transaction status and you see it's got 2 confirmations, 5 confirmations, that's how many computers, how many miners have found your transaction and confirmed that it's a legitimate transaction.
Does your brain hurt, Cort?
Oh yeah.
Decentralized node mining.
Yeah, I guess we sort of jumped on the whole mining thing because that was a term that both of us have heard, but really we skipped over. You said, if you're going to talk about crypto, you really have to understand blockchain, and I feel like we kind of skipped past that.
Yeah, went straight to mining.
Yeah.
Mining is a big part of the blockchain and how the blockchain works. Because it's going to be, it consists of all these computers, these miners. So when all these miners together, the network that they operate on is the blockchain. And it's just a permanent record. It's a permanent, code that once something is recorded, it's there forever. And then each subsequent recording, would be used to deduct or add to different wallet balances. But so your wallet, you mentioned wallets before. Those are the addresses on the blockchain where the crypto is stored. So each wallet will have a balance. And what the miners do is they move these balances from wallet to wallet.
Very cool. Man, I have so many questions. Okay, so say you're interested in purchasing crypto, and no, this is not a recommendation. We're not recommending investing in cryptocurrency. But if you were, do you just go to your local gas station and tell the clerk, hey, I want some Bitcoin? Where do you go?
In an ideal world, yes. And actually, there are some, retail locations that have Bitcoin ATMs set up. But the average user would want to just go to an exchange that allows you to purchase with a credit card or a bank wire, which we mentioned Coinbase, would be one of those. Gemini would be one. There are several different exchanges that'll let you use a bank transfer, an ACH transfer, or a credit card or debit card, and they'll provide a centralized wallet for you there on the exchange that then you can use to send, receive, do what you will with it, store it there.
So these online exchanges, they have fees, right? Basically, if you buy fees. Crypto, they take a little cut of that?
So usually on your on-ramps and your off-ramps, meaning when you trade dollars for crypto or trade crypto back for dollars, that's when you really see the fees. There are trading fees, which are usually pretty minor. But yeah, when you first buy in, with, regular, with your credit card or your bank account, I think Coinbase does like a nominal fee. I think it's like maybe 1%, 2% with a minimum of like $1.99 or something like that. It's not a whole lot. Just to get into the crypto game. Now, once you buy it, sending it from, location to location may have its own fees, depending on which token it is. Some are cheaper than others. Some don't have any fees, some have pretty high fees, and then others, it just depends on the network at the moment, how much traffic is going in and out. Like Ethereum is one that that's based on how much is transacting at any given moment. And if there are a ton of people trying to transact on Ethereum and you try to do an Ethereum transaction, you're going to get hit with a really high fee because, you're taking up bandwidth. But, some other tokens some other coins that don't use that model, they might just have a flat rate that's, a few cents on the dollar, or just a few cents total, to do any transaction.
Something you've mentioned a few times and that I've heard of is the idea of this wallet.
Yeah.
So you can purchase crypto on an exchange, but what's the point of the wallet?
So the wallet, all crypto is stored in a wallet, whether it's on an exchange or whether you actually own the wallet yourself.
This is all digital, right? We're still talking about digital stuff.
I've heard of a cold wallet and a hard wallet.
I don't know. We can get into that.
Let's get into it. Okay, so a wallet.
That's like another layer. So when we're talking about just a wallet in general, all crypto is stored in a wallet. Whether you have access to it or possession of it just depends on what type of wallet it is. So when you buy something on, like, say, Coinbase, the regular Coinbase exchange, you just log into that with a username and password like everything else. So really it's Coinbase that has possession of it. They just give you access to it. But when you send it off of Coinbase, like Coinbase, they have what they call the Coinbase wallet, which I think you mentioned before we started this. So if it's an external wallet, like if it's call them like a hot wallet, you would have complete and sole possession of that. Like no one else would have access to it, and it's based on the different types of keys that each wallet has. They have two different keys each wallet is going to have. They're going to have their public key, which is basically your wallet address that you share with people. Like, say, hey, send me, X amount of Bitcoin. Here's my Bitcoin address. That's your public key that anyone can see. But then you also have your private key. Your private key it's basically whoever holds the private key to a wallet owns that wallet. It's like cash. Like, if you have the private key, you have the 12-word phrase, the recovery phrase, then you have complete and total possession and access to that wallet. Now, when you set up a hot wallet, like the Coinbase wallet on your phone, you set up your private keys. When you do it'll ask you, it'll give you 12 words to write down. Your 12-word recovery phrase is pretty common among all crypto wallets. You'll write those down, and that'll be your private key for all intents and purposes. Your actual private key is going to be a string of random, numbers and letters, but that 12-word phrase is going to be what gives you access to it. So when you have that phrase, and you have your crypto stored in a wallet, no one else has any access to it at all. Not even the app developer who developed the wallet has access to it because it's generated locally. Like, they don't see it on their servers. It's only saved on your device. And then if you write it down, on a piece of paper and put it in a safe somewhere, then you have a physical copy of it. But when you're talking about cold wallets versus hot wallets, I use a wallet called Ledger Live. And it has a physical device that pairs with it. It's like a Bluetooth chip. So it looks kind of like a USB stick almost, but that's where my private keys are saved. So for me to transact, like if I'm going to send you something, I'd have to have my Ledger device within proximity of my phone for it to send, because that's where my private keys would be saved. It's like an extra layer of security. It keeps your private keys off any device that's connected to the internet.
When I think about any cryptocurrency, I still think about it. And I assume most people still think about it in terms of how many dollars it's worth. So we're not talking in terms of, okay, you owe me 4 Bitcoins. We're talking in terms of, well, you owe me $45 and it's going to be 0.127 Bitcoin that you pay me, right? So what are the advantages to Bitcoin over me just, Venmoing you cash or paying with a credit card online? Is it security? Is it, I know anonymity is a big thing.
Well, the speed of the transaction is one, just how quickly you can send, the currency from your possession to another individual's possession. Now, the way we use like Venmo and Cash App and things right now, it seems instantaneous. Like, I'm going to send it to you. You get the notification right then. Really, you just got a notification that I have attempted to send something to you. It's not going to actually clear into your bank account for, a day or so.
Yeah.
But they'll say, oh, this is your available balance versus your posted balance. You'll be able to use it, but it's not truly in your possession until it posts and clears. With Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, it actually moves from your possession to whoever you're sending it to, within, depending on, what network it's on, within a few minutes, a few seconds in some cases. So it bypasses that third party, like a bank or like, any third party facilitator who's going to have to hold it for a day or so and like clear it and keep it in their possession until it reaches where you're sending it. That's the biggest, in my opinion. That's the biggest advantage is you don't really have to rely on a bank. You don't have to rely on a third party. No one else has to hold it and wait, and tell you, oh, someone sent it to you, but we're not going to give you access to it until it posts. And it just takes another hand out of the equation. It's just you and whoever you're transacting with.
That's interesting because researching crypto, I've seen some of them boasting higher speeds. Like I think Ethereum is pretty quick, right? It's one of the fastest, or I don't know if it was Ethereum, but I was like, what does that mean? Are they not all the same speed?
No, they're not. And Ethereum, I wouldn't say it's one of the fastest. It's pretty fast, but there are definitely some that are that'll go quicker than Ethereum. But it all depends on network traffic. How many people are transacting at any given point. And with Ethereum, like they're heavily based on network traffic. Bitcoin is to an extent, but I know with Ethereum, it might transact really quick, but it's going to cost you if there's a lot of people. Like your miner fee that you have to pay to process the transaction. If it's heavy traffic, you pay for that speed, whereas on some other tokens they don't really. And it may just be because these other tokens don't have the volume that Ethereum has, and maybe if they did, it would be about the same. We can't really tell, until they do start doing, volume like that. But they're all pretty fast. Bitcoin's probably one of the slowest, actually, since it was the first ever. Ethereum's pretty fast. I could name off several other ones. I don't want to get too into it, but yeah, speed is it varies between different coins.
Man, and back to the wallet point, just so I can clarify this. So your exchange, like Coinbase, that is centralized, but your wallet is decentralized, right?
Yeah, well, so the blockchain itself is decentralized no matter what. Now, the way you access it is what can be centralized or decentralized. Okay. So when you have it in Coinbase, like the app, Coinbase proper is what most people refer to it as, versus the wallet. That's centralized. You have to log into that with a username and password. They have control of the wallets. They own the private keys. You don't have the private keys when it's there. So, in some case, if the government were to subpoena Coinbase and say, hey, we want you to send us all the crypto that this person has in their account, they would have to comply. And they could send it off. But if it's in a decentralized wallet where you own the private keys, that's not possible because it would take you signing a transaction to send something out from a decentralized platform. Because like I said, all wallets are decentralized, but the way you access them through a certain application or platform. That's where you've got decentralized exchanges versus centralized exchanges versus decentralized exchanges, centralized wallets versus decentralized hot wallets or cold wallets.
I know you're not a financial advisor, but why do you think crypto is so volatile? Just so many ups and downs. Is it because it's new? I know this is just your personal opinion, but
there's just a lot of players in the game, and a lot of it is driven by speculation and people buying it. I mean, as an investment, thinking that it's going to be worth more in the future. There's a lot of different venues to invest, a lot of different ways to invest. Like you can, it's just like a stock, you can open short positions. You can do almost anything you could do with a stock. So a lot of it is based on news that comes out. Yeah. China's a big player in it. They've recently banned Bitcoin mining in all of China, which the majority of the hash power of Bitcoin miners in general was based in China. So we saw
the hash power,
hash rate.
Let's break it down.
Yeah. So when you talk about Bitcoin miners and their their processing power that their computer has, that's basically what you're selling when you're mining for a block reward. Is it you're loaning out your processing power? It's referred to like hash rate is what we would call that. And if you look at where most of the hash rate is coming from and where most of the mining was going on, it was coming out of China. But because I don't claim to understand Chinese law or exactly what they passed or what they made legal versus illegal. I just know that they passed some laws in China that really hurt the miners over there. Like they had to completely shut down their whole operations. I know there was a lot of shipments of mining equipment from China into the U.S. Because they had to get rid of all of this. So it really, the hash rate in the U.S. really went up, when that happened, because we seized a big portion of what was going on in China when that passed. But China's always, they're always passing some law or doing something trying to ban crypto. So that can always influence it. News from different companies that they, might start accepting. I know when Elon Musk first said that Tesla will accept Bitcoin as a form of payment.
Yeah, I remember
we
that.
saw a big pump in the market. And then later when he changed his mind and said, actually, we're not going to do that. We're not going to accept Bitcoin anymore. We saw the price go down. So,
And same when he tweeted about Dogecoin, it jumped, right?
Dogecoin, yeah, that's 100% him. He is 100% in control of that ship, whether he admits it or not. That's the only reason that one saw the action that it did. But yeah, and it really depends on the size of the coin. So with Bitcoin, it's a little harder to manipulate because, one, it's been around for so much longer. There's way more people who are holding it, way more people who are investing in it. It's available on virtually every exchange. You're not going to find a crypto exchange that doesn't have Bitcoin. So it's harder for one person, to manipulate. But with Dogecoin and some of the smaller tokens, which we can talk about the difference between a coin and a token. With some of those, they're small enough to where someone like Elon Musk could come in and tweet something and then completely crash the price or make it soar just based off something he said. Because they're smaller, it's a smaller holder group, less people in it, small market cap. They're just easier to manipulate. And that's where the highest risk is. So if you are planning on want to invest in, so you want to start investing in crypto, just keep in mind that these smaller low cap projects, they have the highest potential for reward, but they can also completely bottom out on the drop of a hat.
Right.
So very, very high risk in that type of crypto.
So what's the difference between a coin and a token?
I thought that might be the next question.
Yeah.
On any not any blockchain, but we'll use Ethereum as an example. So Ethereum is a coin. I mean, it's one of the first major ones, and probably I think it's still number 2 as far as market cap goes. So Ethereum, they have their own blockchain, but they have what they call smart contracts. So you can actually create tokens that operate on the Ethereum blockchain. I know you mentioned the Shiba coin.
Mm-hmm.
Shiba is an Ethereum token. It's an ERC20 token. That's the type of token it is. So you store your Shiba coin, your Shiba token in an Ethereum wallet. So it's on the Ether blockchain. It doesn't have its own blockchain. It's not its own thing, but it is independent of Ethereum as a token, but it requires the Ethereum blockchain to operate. So that would be an example of a token versus a coin. A coin would have its own blockchain, and whether or not it would allow developers, smart contracts to come in and create tokens that exist on it, would just depend on the project. But Ethereum is one that has a ton of tokens operating on it. And that's another reason why Ethereum can be so volatile. A lot of times it has nothing to do with Ethereum, but it has something to do with one of the tokens that are on the Ethereum chain. So if it's like Shiba, if the Shiba volume goes up really high, but Ethereum stays flat, you're still going to see an increase in those miner fees because Shiba's transacting so high. And the fees on that, the miner fees are still paid in Ethereum. They're not paid in the token that you're transacting with. They're paid in Ethereum because it operates over the Ethereum chain, and the fees are much higher when you're looking at tokens versus actual, Ether.
Okay, so one of the things that we haven't talked about yet that I really want to understand so hard is what I think I understand for instance, with Bitcoin, that there are a limited number of Bitcoins out there.
Yep.
Okay, there are a limited number of Bitcoins out there, but they haven't all been found yet. And I don't know how one goes about finding one. But it seems like that finding a Bitcoin for free would be,
Yeah, that'd be awesome. No, so what you're referring to would be like the max total supply. And that's something that's written into the code of any project, Bitcoin, Ether, anything that's out there. And what it's basically saying is that only this number of Bitcoin will ever exist. They don't all exist right now. But in Bitcoin's case, it's 21 million. There will only be 21 million Bitcoin to ever exist. That's written into the white paper. It's written into the code. It's not something that can be edited or adjusted. No one can come in and say, oh, actually, we want to do another. Once it hits 21 million, that's all the Bitcoin that'll ever exist. It hasn't hit that yet. The way new Bitcoins are generated is through the mining process, through the block rewards. So the miners, that's their incentive for mining, is they get a block reward for each block. So a block would be just several transactions. Like they don't do one transaction at a time. They process a block of transactions. So when you complete a block, you get a block reward that comes from the blockchain. It's written into the code, and it gets charged, as a transaction fee to the user. But that's how new Bitcoins are generated. And it really just depends on how much Bitcoin is transacting. Like if it's got a ton of volume and the volume stays steady over time, then we'll get closer and closer to that 21 million. But if it stays static and people move on to other tokens, move on to other coins, then it might take a little longer. They're saying that within the next few years we'll be close to that 21 million. I think I don't want to quote anything, but I think we're at like 19 something right now, or close to that, 18 or 19. So we're pretty close to the amount of that maximum total supply. But once we get there, the block rewards, there won't be any more block rewards for miners, because the block reward is what generates new Bitcoin. And once we hit that 21 million, they can't generate any more because we've hit the maximum. So that's when you'll see it start shift more towards like transaction fees. The fees are really low on Bitcoin now because the miners are getting these block rewards. They don't necessarily need to charge a fee to process a transaction. But once those block rewards go away and we have the 21 million that will ever, exist, then we'll start seeing it more of like a fee-based system, which there are fees now. They can assign like nominal fees when they do set up their mining operation. But for the most part, it's the block rewards that everyone's after.
Do we know who created Bitcoin?
No.
Yeah, I feel like there's legend behind that.
Yeah, Satoshi Nakamoto or Yakamoto.
Yeah, that sounds
right.
right.
Exactly what is. It's a made up alias. It's not a real person. It was a real person that created it, but that's the alias that this person used. No one still, to this day, knows for sure who that person is, or if it's a group of people or one person. Maybe it's a really advanced, AI intelligence. Like who knows what? It's still to this day no one knows. But they actually named, if you break Bitcoin down into smaller pieces, the smallest unit of a Bitcoin is referred to as a Satoshi, which is the first name of the alleged creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, in most other projects, you do have. Who the creators are. Bitcoin is one of the few where like it just can't be identified because no one owns it. There's not like a Bitcoin corporation. There's no CEO of Bitcoin. It's all, independently operated and owned. Where that's not always the case with other projects. Like, they all, most of them will have CEOs and they'll have, corporate office. Even if it's decentralized, they will still have like a governing body. Which Bitcoin's governing body is, the miners. Basically, they have what they call core contributors, who are, it's like a group of, I don't know exactly how many people there are. There's a ton of them, but they're the ones that validate, like the code that the each individual mining rig is gonna run. If there's ever needs to be changes to the code, it has to go through this like council, I guess, of
the council.
I don't know what you would call them, of these core contributors, but there are some things that even they can't really change. It's just when they do updates, updates to the software that people are running, it has to go through these people who are all like developers.
I wonder how long until we get a movie about Satoshi and the creation of Bitcoin. Kind of like The Social Network. I could see that. Yeah. Where does Andy Wilson see cryptocurrency in the future? What do you think the future looks like? Do you think fiat currency is completely gone?
No. If you're talking way down the line, I could see maybe we shift to a digital, type of currency being the main currency that people use on a day-to-day. They've even talked about making a digital dollar. The U.S. government has mentioned making a digital version of the dollar, which would operate on a blockchain. But do I see Bitcoin replacing dollars one day? No. And I don't really see any project fully replacing U.S. dollars or euros or pesos or any government-backed currency. I think those will always be what we value everything in. Like it's always worth X amount of dollars, X amount of. But I think it'll play a role just in the banking industry, in the finance industry. I think it'll even be more and more legitimized as time goes on. More and more people buying into it. Like you see hedge funds buying into it now. You see Bitcoin ETFs, getting approved, at the federal level. Like a lot of your big banks are buying into it and offering different crypto-based products. That's just more and more all the time that institutions are buying into it. You've got even your major players in the tech side like Apple, Google, Amazon. Like they all have patents on different types of exchanges and tokens. Like they're going to build into their systems in the future. Like we're still like kind of in the groundwork phase of a lot of this. Like some of these major players in the industry are quietly working behind the scenes, to offer, some major product in the future. And you can tell, from the patents that they filed for and, different insiders saying, oh, we've hired, you can look at job postings, like they're hiring blockchain developers, they're hiring directors and VPs of blockchain tech, at these huge companies. So, like a lot is coming in the future, and it's going to be really big. Now, whether that's going to affect the price of any, particular coin, it's, you can only speculate, but I think as history would show that, the more big players that buy in and the more people are actually using it and investing in it, the better off it is financially, just from a dollar standpoint.
And what about the negatives? And by that, I specifically mean I've heard stories about the fact that like law enforcement is concerned about Bitcoin or concerned about cryptocurrency because the anonymity that it offers allows people to move money in ways that hide their illegal activities.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it is anytime a new technology is developed, there's people who are going to figure out how to use it in crime. Like, before the telephone existed, you never had, scammers calling your house, scamming people over the phone. Before vehicles, you didn't have getaway drivers and bank robbers who would, jump in their car and drive off after robbing somebody. All new innovation, all new technology is going to open a window for someone to abuse and use it illicitly, illegally. So, and Bitcoin's no exception with that. Crypto's no exception with that. It can be used to anonymously transact, pay for illegal things. Drug dealers, people who sell things that aren't exactly legal can use it to launder money, use it to transfer money. And the fact that it is decentralized and can't be seized by a government means that they don't have to worry about someone coming in and taking it from them. So yeah, there is that aspect of it. But yeah, I see that as just part of innovation.
Well, I have one more question. At the beginning of the show, we listed out our favorite cryptocurrency based solely on their name. There's a lot of wild names in cryptocurrency, the different kinds. Do you have one that comes to mind, like top of the list as far as a wild name?
Some of them are inappropriate. I don't want to... There's some crazy ones out there. The Dogecoin you mentioned. There's been so many spin-offs of Dogecoin. There's like Shiba Inu was
that's
one.
A spin-off, yeah.
Then there was like Shiba Doge Rocket Coin and like, Dogelon Mars is one. It's like supposed to be an Elon Musk version of Doge, but with Mars instead of...
That's bananas.
People like throw all these words together, words that people associate with crypto, and people associate with like meme culture. They'll just throw all those words together and name a coin that. Like, so you see a lot of Doge stuff incorporated, a lot of Moon and Mars and different planets. People talking about going to the Moon or going to Mars. Yeah. So you'll see Mars a lot out there. Rocket. Anything space related, people, there's a lot of funny stuff out there.
Well, Andy, I want to thank you for coming on. This has been amazing. I'm less confused than I was, but it's like Inception. This whole concept, there's a lot that goes into it, and you've really helped explain it.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, we can do it. We can do a part 2 sometime, and get a little more detailed into it.
Yeah, whenever we have the new studio, we'll bring you back for part 2.
All right, sounds good.
Well, so there is the end of the guest segment, ladies and gentlemen. Normally, we would probably go into a little bit further conversation, a little more action, please. But
I feel fully learned.
My mind is a little bit melted right now. I'm not going to lie. That was a lot of information.
A lot of nodes, coins, tokens, and wallets.
Yeah, boy, man. If we had the jargon zone siren still, I feel like we would
just be continuous.
Yeah, we would have been stepping into the jargon zone at the beginning and just let the siren blare the whole time, because that was there were a lot of terms in there. I hope you got something out of it. I don't really. Normally we do something to sort of sum up. We do our bullseye. I wouldn't even know where to start with this.
No, and I feel like Andy did a good job of being pretty succinct with all of the definitions and everything.
He was on fire with his bullseye.
On fire.
Okay, so we're just gonna skip over the bullseye, which means that any second now you're probably gonna be hearing. Oh, there it is, the closing bell. Ladies and gentlemen, you have made it to the end of yet another episode of the Bullcast Podcast. If you liked what you heard and you'd like to hear more, please feel free to go to your favorite subscription service and subscribe. Have this podcast downloaded to your phone or other listening device every single week on Thursday at noon. If you'd like to find out more about me and Cameron, because Katie's not here, you can find out more about Katie too, but I mean, she's not here, okay? So if you'd like to find out more about me and Cameron, the bros, the brosifs, you can go to our website. That's bullcastpodcast.com. You can also leave comments there. You can tell Katie that it stinks that she was not on this episode. You can leave suggestions for topics that you'd like to hear us cover, or you can just make snide remarks, just whatever you want. You can also make snide remarks on Twitter. I've heard that is done quite frequently. Lots of people make snide remarks on Twitter.
Y'all need to light Katie's Twitter up.
So you can go to our Twitter handle and tweet at us. That's at Bullcast Podcast. And also, we do post pictures on Instagram, believe it or not. As a matter of fact, there will be one from this episode because we had a guest. So I always post a picture of our guest. That Instagram handle is at Bullcast Podcast. And finally, Katie, Cameron, and I all work at a place called Pickler Wealth Advisors. And if you'd like to find out more about where we work, what we do, find out about our amazing team and our amazing boss, David Pickler, then please feel free to go to that website. That's picklerwealthadvisors.com.
That's advisors with an O.
Not an E. Ladies and gentlemen, we have given you probably more than enough information today. You will probably be processing for days and days to come. I know that my mind is still melted. So
my mind is officially decentralized.
So for now, we'll just leave it at this. I'm Cort.
I'm Cam.
And we out.